Greetings, travelers, and welcome to Geronimo Draws. In this video, I would like to discuss the Transfiguration by Raphael. After establishing himself as one of the most beloved and influential artists of his time, Raphael completed the trinity of great masters of the Renaissance alongside Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. The final painting of the young master's career was the Transfiguration. This painting is an amalgam of Raphael's genius, combining two narratives from the Gospels into one large-scale painting. At the top, we have a depiction of the Transfiguration of Jesus Christ, and at the bottom, the encounter with the possessed boy. The Transfiguration is a critical moment in the Gospels. Here, Jesus reveals himself in his true form. Jesus took 3 of his apostles up to a mountain, believed to be Mount Tabor. While Christ was in this natural state, Moses and Elijah appeared before him, and they discussed his coming death. And a voice from the cloud said, "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." And here we see Christ ascended on the mountain with his apostles below him, each overwhelmed by this miraculous phenomenon. Jesus is radiant, transfigured in an aura of light and clouds, in the company of the Old Testament prophets as they float towards him. Elijah's to the right, representing all the prophets, and Moses to the left, representing the law, as he carries the stone tablets of the 10 Commandments. Below, we see an entirely different scene, which, according to the Gospel of Luke, took place the following day, when they came down from the mountain and were met by a large crowd of people. A man from the multitude cried out to Jesus, imploring him to save his only child from demonic possession. The demon, as the gospel describes it, rendered the boy frenzied as he foamed at the mouth and bruised his flesh. The father tells Jesus that he begged his disciples to drive the evil spirit out, but they could not do it. And here we see the crowd emerging from the bottom right of the mountain. The father appears helpless as the crowd pleads with the apostles to save the possessed child. We can read and feel the father's desperation. Raphael creates powerful expressions that capture the emotions experienced by each figure. We see a woman in the central foreground of the painting, kneeling before the apostles. She points to the boy in despair. The possessed boy wails, arm outstretched, as if in reaction to the radiant light of Christ. His eyes roll erratically, pupils moving in opposite directions to represent the disruption of inner harmony. His body is strong, a common characteristic of the High Renaissance in its return to classical depictions of the human form. Christian scripture also describes the demon-possessed as having remarkable physical strength. The apostles tried to liberate the boy, but fail in their attempts, while others point upwards to Jesus. Only Christ was able to heal the possessed boy, and one cannot help but wonder whether the artist was drawing inspiration from his namesake. Raphael in Hebrew translates as God heals. Raphael's style became more complex throughout his career, expanding in scale and in the use of light and dark. He combined classical virtue with Christian tradition in painting, and the Transfiguration demonstrates his mastery as a colorist as well. They're vibrant and harmonious, particularly in the garments. Figures have volume and weight. We get a true sense of the anatomy underneath their clothing. He accomplishes this through a painting technique called chiaroscuro, an Italian term which means light to dark. It refers to the use of light and shadow to create the illusion of light from a specific source shining on the figures and objects in the painting. Raphael's remarkable career was cut short by his early death. The Transfiguration was later discovered in his studio. When Raphael's body was taken for its burial, the painting was carried by his side. Rather than sending it to Narbonne Cathedral, it was placed above Raphael's tomb in the Pantheon in Rome. Giorgio Vasari, the 16th century painter and biographer, wrote, "The Transfiguration was Raphael's most beautiful and most divine work." Thank you for watching.